stress. I'm not making my numbers. I'm wondering if my boss is thinking about replacing me. I wonder if AI is going to take my job away. I wonder if my wife is like looking at other people. Now, these are all the different things that go on that contribute to what we call stress. And one of the things that Tony Robbins is quite famous for saying is he says that energy flows where focus goes. And so stress is something that we all have. It's part of our experience of being human. And the things that I shared in terms of the inner dialogues, the things that we say to ourselves, like, right, there's probably a lot of people who are concerned. I think probably anybody who has a half a wit of awareness is probably concerned that AI is going to, take my job away. And anybody who is involved in business and maybe selling products or making things happen has that question or that thought that comes in mind, like, oh, I'm not making my numbers, or I actually did do $15,000 this month, but maybe that was just kind of a fluke. And these are all the thoughts. Like I said, these are the inner dialogues that go on. And when our mind is allowed to drift and to focus in on those those things, right? They're totally natural. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing unusual about that. But when it comes to the workplace and to performance, well, again, what Tony says is that the energy is going to flow where the focus goes. And so you may be in the health and wellness space, and you may have a lot of tools in your own kit for keeping your stress and keeping, more importantly, I say, keeping your focus on the right things. And as we kind of kick off this conversation, I want to invite on into the stage here one of our health and wellness experts, and also somebody who is in the corporate environment. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Good, I can. Thanks for having me.
And for some reason, I cannot hear you right now, and I don't know if that's on my side.
Well,
I'm
let's
going to look
see.
on my side as well, because it could be on my end as well.
Testing, testing,
I think
testing.
it is.
Looks good on my end.
But you can hear me okay, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to try doing a little change here and see if I can hear you.
Now I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't
There
hear
we
you.
go. Okay. All right. Welcome on in. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Well, how do you relate to some of the things that I was just talking about? Like, you work in the corporate environment, but you're also a wellness expert. And so how do you relate to the things that I was just saying? Do those kind of thoughts run through your mind, or are those conversations going on in your environment?
For sure. I mean, and what I found is 9 out of the 10 things that run through your mind to worry about are not yours to worry about in the first place. They're either things you have no control over, or it's somebody else's responsibility, not yours.
Yes.
Or, fill in the blank, all the other reasons. So what I'm learning to do, and what have learned to do, and I coach others, is to adopt more of a neutral pose and just look at things as facts, things that are happening. They are happening.
Mm.
We attach judgment to them. We attach worry and anxiety and expectation to them. And most of the time it's not warranted. It's really our ego running wild, trying to, fulfill its goal of protecting us
Yes.
from something.
Protection.
Right?
Yeah.
If we're about to get attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, it works pretty well, but it doesn't work well in the corporate environment.
Yeah. I like to bring it down to the corporate environment because, even though this broadcast is really designed for, for health and wellness experts who are wanting to step on into this space. And again, I kind of made, the comment that, for you, it sounds like you've got a nice toolkit of tools, and I do as well. But do you think that that's common, or is that uncommon that people have ways to deal with it, like you are just suggesting?
Well, I think the more responsibility that someone has in their job, it's a natural corollary that their worry and anxiety goes up in proportion. And I haven't seen any correlation between, executives on down to worker bees. Some people have tools to deal with the stress and some don't. It doesn't really matter what your role in the company is. You kind of either figure it out or you don't.
Yeah. I bet you notice though whether I bet it's pretty obvious whether people around you, like on your work team, have it figured out, and not naming any names or anything like that. But what are some of the things that you notice when somebody is dealing with stress?
The most natural response I see is stress causes fear, which causes the need for control.
Mm,
And most of the time, the need to control something is ineffective because you're not necessarily doing it the best way that it could be. Whatever that thing is on its merits. What I'm finding is when I'm faced with a challenge, I'm going to my peers at work and getting either their input or their participation or both to help me accomplish what I'm doing. And it's so much better. It's a richer experience. It's less stressful for you, but also you get a better result
mm.
rather than just trying to micromanage everything and, chasing all the cats around the building and trying to catch them all. That's a recipe for, mental health challenges, physical health challenges, everything else.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I had a boss that he was like that in spades, and he would literally come flying out of the building, like chasing people to find out what we were up to. And I like to give some, some voice to the opposite of that, which is what I hear you saying is that the more that you engage other people in your team, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And what I found that I've only really been doing that the last few years is kind of the big epiphany that I had at one point, that life is so much better when you're in community, when you're in groups, and you cultivate that kind of culture for yourself. And what I found is that not only is my work product, my output better and my stress lower, but I'm finding so many more opportunities to engage in different ways. It's almost like when you're stressed out and you're trying to control everything, your vision, your perception narrows down to a tunnel, and you can only
Yes.
see things a certain way, right? But if you get rid of that perception and you engage with other people and you welcome everyone's perspective, you start seeing opportunities that you wouldn't have seen before.
I love that. I really love that because I mean, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And so, what my life is like is, you could call it like, I eat what I catch, right? So, I don't have anybody above me, I have people around me. But what you just said so tracks true. And I don't know where I heard this, or maybe I read this somewhere. I've kind of followed you a little bit. You and I have worked together, and I've seen it somewhere mentioned that you're like lightning in a bottle.
Hmm.
And the way I relate to that, and tell me if I'm on with this, is that you see opportunities where other people don't see opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I credit that focus on community for doing that. And it's to the point now in my corporate job, at least, people invite me to meetings just to have me in the meeting because they know that I'm going to have a considered opinion. I'm not going to try to speak just to be heard. I'm going to evaluate what's going on and then be able to engage others. Often I call people out that aren't speaking, that I know might have a good input into what's happening, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a natural facilitation behavior that comes from the mindset of wanting to be in community, not just being there to do it, but actually wanting to do it.
Wanting to do it, yeah. And I feel like people like you and I, when I say people like you and I mean people in the health and wellness space, people who are, have tools like this is kind of like breathing, right? We don't
Mhm.
notice, the beneficial effects of it. But I wonder if you'd be willing to share any examples of things that you've been able to achieve, or maybe contracts that you've been able to call in. You don't have to be specific about them, but is there any lightning in a bottle that you might point to? Because these really have, like, they're more than just like relaxing, right?
Mhm.
This is about business. This is about, like you
Mhm.
said, seeing opportunities. Do you have any examples that you can share from your field? I don't want you to share any secrets,
Yeah,
but I'm
no,
curious.
no worries there. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is characteristic of having a job where your performance is judged based on your sales, right? Whether you have a quota or some other measurement, um, you feel a lot of pressure quarter over quarter, month over month to sell something. And what I found is that can kind of be like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you can't break in and sell something to a customer, you get frustrated and stressed out, and you
Yes.
you kind of fall back on the lowest common denominator behavior when it's not happening, and you make it worse. um, but what I found, that where I've got the most, maybe in some cases it's the biggest deal, but it's also the most interesting deal, is where you're curious and you go to the champion you have inside your customer account, whoever that is, and you just have a low pressure meeting where you ask a lot of open questions. And you may have a theory about how you could help. You may not, but you find out just by asking the customer questions about, for example, how are you measured? How are you being held accountable? What do you have to get done this quarter? What about these new regulations that have come out in your industry?
Mm.
Are you dealing with anything about that? Right, there's so many changes going on right now in so many different industries. Talk to them about how it's affecting them. What is their a day in the life in their job, kind of. And over this last year, I've gotten into not only new business in these accounts, but really interesting projects to solve bottom line business problems that there is no way that I would have even known about it unless I had the curiosity and kind of that problem solving mindset to ask those questions. And I had an old mentor tell me a long time ago, either find a problem to solve or go figure out something else to do,
Mhm.
right? Because if you're not solving a problem for your customer, what good are you to them,
Right. Yeah.
right?
And if
They
you're
don't want to hear a pitch. They want to hear, how are you going to make my life better in some way?
Yeah. Yeah. I relate to that 100%. And if you're stressed out and your focus is on filling your quota, which is important, obviously, right? This is what we do in business, is to make things happen. But if that's the focus, then like you said, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that all you see is the lack, all you see are the problems, and
Hmm.
then the stress builds up. And one of the things that I say about stress, and the reason why I see stress reduction programs so important in the workplace and such an opportunity for people in health and wellness, is that I see stress reduction as like the master key, or stress reduction is like the master key in a hotel. Like, it opens or locks all other things.
Hmm.
Like, stress will lead to the self-fulfilling downward spiral of not seeing opportunities. Stress will lead to health problems, very serious health problems. And all of that will ultimately be potentially a downward spiral to losing your job and all the other things that, I mentioned in terms of what goes on in people's heads. Like, these stresses are real, but when you can learn how to manage it and put your focus like you do, then really big things happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I so appreciate you joining us here for a quick minute. I know you're getting ready to journey off somewhere. Is there anything that you want to say about that before we jump off?
Yeah, so I'm heading to Italy to visit Damanhur, the temples of humankind, with a group. And our focus is on healing the earth. And we're hosting 3 shamans. They call themselves Pacos, coming from Peru, the Sacred Valley in Peru. They're going to be joining us in Italy. And so it's not only a big opportunity and kind of a bucket list trip for me, but it's all in service of humankind and healing the earth in whatever way we can.
I love that. So that's like a big can't get much higher level view than that. And I relate to that as well in regards to this topic here today, because we will attract what we fear.
Mm-hmm.
And as more and more people become skilled, not just with stress reduction, but imagining how the world can be, it sounds like this is a big part of your journey there.
Yeah, the thing I'll leave you with is the worldview of the Q'ero Pacos in the Andes is that you dream the world into being. Very much what Tony Robbins saying, right? Where your intention goes, that's where your energy goes. They believe that too, and this goes all the way back to the time of the Inca. But they believe it that you should dream the world first, then your community, then yourself, in that order. And I still work on that. It's not necessarily natural behavior for somebody that grew up with the Western mind. But I believe that it's time for us all to do that. And the more that we can dream the world and not be so stressed out about what's happening right in front of us to our perception of ourself, I believe that that's a stress reducer. We put our energy into dreaming what the world could be. When's the last time any of us just sat quietly somewhere and meditated or dreamed about how harmonious and beautiful the world is and how much more it could be? Right? We don't spend time doing that generally. We spend time worrying about ourselves, our family, our paycheck, whatever. So that's an invitation to everyone. I'm going to be doing that for the next 2 weeks, and I invite you to join me.
Are you going to be sharing that in any place, or will you be immersed in the experience?
I'll be pretty immersed in the experience, but I'm hoping that I'll get time to record some video and send some pictures and things on my Facebook channel and in my Awakening Spirit community.
Okay. Well, I'm going to drop on into below this recording in a few different places, because we're here live on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. So we'll drop a link on into your community, because I'm super excited. Of course, being Italian myself, I just want to see, but I know the community that you're going to is quite a magical place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Gio. And if anybody wants to get any more information about Damanhur or the project that we're doing, we'll include some links for that too.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Mark.
Thank you.
Well, on that note of dreaming the world into existence, so I know we have people in various places with us online, and what I want to invite you to is I want to invite you just for a short, quick experience to take in 3 nice deep breaths along with me here. You notice as you breathe in, you just breathe life into your body, and you breathe it deep down, all the way down into the lower parts of your body, and then breathe out and release any stress that you have. And what I want to invite you into, you can have have your eyes open or you can have your eyes closed as you do this, and maybe continue with some nice deep breathing. And I want to invite you to imagine a quality of life or a thing that you want to attract more of into your life right now. And that quality could be quality of relaxation. People might want to call in the quality of excitement, vibrancy, abundance. Whatever that quality is for you, breathe that in. And I'm curious if there's a word or a phrase that represents that quality of life that you want to be saturated with right now. And how would it feel to allow yourself, to let yourself be infused with these qualities for the next few minutes? Allow yourself a few moments to connect with this quality. And be grateful that you've allowed yourself a few minutes out of your busy day to experience what you want more of. And as you allow yourself to come back into this moment, I'm curious if there is a word or a phrase of that quality that you want to be steeped in or attract into your life now. And I greet you back on into this conversation about how to launch a stress reduction program, how to do it, how to launch a stress reduction program for the work environment. And as I start to share about 4 or 5 things that I want to share with you right now about how to actually do it, I want to invite you to drop on into the comments if you'd like to, if you feel called to share the quality that you were calling into and want to be infused with. Drop it on into the comments. I appreciate you being with us here, whether you're with us here in person or you're going to be joining or listening to the live stream. Drop on into the comments and let me know. So I've got about, like I said, about 4 things to share with you in terms of how to launch a stress reduction program. And this is really for health and wellness experts. And again, whether you're listening to this live or you're listening to the recording of this, and if we haven't met before, let me drop on in and just introduce myself. And I'm Gio Pensano, and I help people to design and launch online health and wellness programs. And I have helped many people launch online programs in health and wellness, and also in many other fields as well. I'm an instructional designer, and I've been designing and launching mostly online programs, some live training programs as well, for about 15 years now. And the starting place for launching a stress reduction program for the work environment really starts with what I say is what you call the thing. I say, you'll hear me say this many times, what you call the thing is everything. And some of us may be coming from the world of health and wellness. Some people I know who are peers along with me in a meditation teacher training program. So you may see yourself as a meditation teacher or a fitness instructor or a nutritionist. All these things, all these different methods and techniques that we can use to craft a workplace stress reduction program. And so what I say the most important thing is defining who that program is for and what is the outcome that they want to achieve. Because people will feel attracted and feel a sense of affinity based on who you choose to focus your work to help, and what the problem is that you're going to help them to achieve. And for instance, some people may choose to focus on serving high achievers. High achievers are people who are really interested in these kind of technologies, stress reduction. They often hire coaches for many different reasons. Business leaders, anybody who is, has a high standard in their life. They have a high goal that they want to achieve for themselves, or like our guest Mark was suggesting, a goal for the entire planet, right? These are big goals. These are big visions, and they require the ability to focus our energy in a very specific way, in a way that is the opposite of stress. So when a person is achieving at a high level or has a lot of responsibility, the value of them being able to stay focused, right? You could call it stress reduction, and that's one way of saying it, but you could also call it something else as well. Because what Mark was giving voice to was that when somebody is trying to achieve something, they have a lot of responsibility, then they need to be on their game. They need to be in flow. So Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, he wrote the book Flow. And flow is the opposite of stress. When you are able to activate a flow state, when you're on top of your game, right? You are doing what you are called to do. That is the opposite of stress. And so what you call the thing is everything. And who you choose to focus that program for is also everything, because not everybody shares the same outcomes or desires. Like a meditation group may have a spiritual focus to it. And so having a connection to spirit may be the most important thing to that group of people. Well, a business owner or an entrepreneur are going to be a very different group. They're right. They're going to call themselves something else. And some of the names, we call this defining the niche that you serve. And it's all about who that person is and what they call themselves. So here are some examples. A stress reduction program for type A overachievers, or a stress reduction program for underachievers. You may think that's funny, but people who don't feel like they're alphas, right? They're people that like to be of support. Well, they define themselves in a different way, and they're quite happy. That's right. There's no judgment about any of this, but the point is that you want to define the particular type of person that you want to be working with. It could be mompreneurs, right? Mompreneurs, people who are mothers and entrepreneurs. It's a very particular group of people. They gather in a certain place. They share certain goals and ways of looking at the world. Awakening entrepreneurs is another term I've heard. Awakening entrepreneurs, purpose-driven entrepreneurs, right? And so if you just call it a corporate health and wellness program, that is so generic that it's going to be lost in the noise. And it's not going to get a whole lot of traction because it is just such a generic name. And so what you call the program, what you call your social media content, it wants to speak to and use the natural language of the type of person that you want to work with. And it's very counterintuitive that you think to yourself, oh, I'm just going to focus on working, let's say, with mompreneurs, right? And it's by nature, it's going to exclude all the guys and all the people who are not mompreneurs. But what ends up happening, and because of the power of the internet, you're able to reach millions and even billions of people, and that's pretty cool. But when you use a terminology like I'm offering a corporate health and wellness program, it doesn't land with anybody in particular. It doesn't speak to anybody. It doesn't resonate with any of the natural ways that people describe themselves. So it will be lost in the noise. And the opposite of that, like I said, is to define who you want to be working with. And one of the little tips and secrets I want to share with you is that even though I really give a lot of voice and encouragement for people to create group programs, because of the format of online delivery, it makes it really easy to deliver to as easy to deliver to 1 as it is to 10, as it is to 100, as it is to 1,000. Like, it costs very little more money to deliver to 1,000 people than it is to one person. But the place to start is with the one person. You may, again, define who that one person is. What do they call themselves? Because where there's one, there's going to be many others like them. And when, let's say, you're first launching, or maybe you want to get your next $3,000 or $5,000 client, the best way to do it is to go after one person. Go after the one person. Where does that one person hang out? What does that one person call themselves? And of course, LinkedIn is the best tool for doing this, because you can find that one person. Like, you can use Sales Navigator, which it costs a little bit of money to use it. It's like $100 a month. They have lower cost programs as well, but you can find exactly the kind. If say you want to reach owners of $10 million companies, which, by the way, those people are very easy to reach. They're just normal people, right? They don't have like a bunch of gatekeepers around them. Those are, I could call those people, awakening entrepreneurs, people who have started a company. Maybe they have 10 employees, maybe they have 15, 20, it doesn't matter the number, but it's very easy to reach somebody who owns a $10 million company. And somebody who owns a $10 million company can easily afford a $5,000 stress reduction program and engagement. And they're going to love you for it, because, like Mark was suggesting earlier, if he didn't hear, he didn't share any numbers about some of the lightning strikes that he has made, but he has opened up opportunities for his company that are in the $10 to $100 million sales volume. So his ability to apply these things, he is kind of like an ideal type of client potentially. He has developed these skills now for himself, and so don't go knocking on his door because he already has it. But people like him, people who are making big sales or owners of companies, again, you decide who the right person is. And I'm curious if you have a program already. Drop on into the comments and let me know. Do you have a program that you're offering right now, whether it's a one-on-one program or a group program? And I'm curious, like what you call it. What do you call it? And this is ideally just a conversation, and and so I can give you feedback on it, and we can have a conversation about it. Like, what do you call your program, and who is it for? And in that process, I want to give you permission to know that this is an iterative process. Like, whenever I launch a new product or a program, or I help somebody to launch a new product, there is always an iteration process that goes on around what do we call it? What is the name of this thing? And who is it really for? Who's going to really value this thing? And so it's not like, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I just want to let you know, I don't roll out of bed and can tell somebody, oh, this is who it's for, and this is what you should call it. It's an iterative process. So feel free to drop on into the comments and share anything that about what you call your program, and we'll, like I said, have a conversation there. The second thing is the design of the program itself, and this is the thing that super excites me, I have to say, which is that a stress reduction program, people have all kinds of ideas in their mind of what a stress reduction program consists of. And if you caught the little introduction piece that I was giving in terms of, taking some breaths and, calling in what we want to be infused with. And I see Kathy O is with us, and she dropped on in with, gratitude and peace and freedom. And these are, gratitude. What a powerful flow activator. When you have gratitude and you really drop into gratitude, well, what happens, and I did this myself recently, you start to have gratitude, or you may think back to all the things that you have to be grateful for. And for me, what I noticed was how incredibly abundant the universe has been with me, even in times where I thought, right, that I was having scarcity. And again, as an entrepreneur, it's pretty normal to have times when there's abundance and times when there seems to be scarcity. But when I stepped on into calling in the gratitude, I remembered to myself how many times that abundance came to me. And this is the power of being seeped into something. And so a stress reduction program, excuse me, talk amongst yourselves. A stress reduction program can be a number of different things. And what I'd like to give voice to, partially because this is my focus, in terms of my own learning right now, is meditation. Again, people have different ideas about what meditation is. Like, it's, just something that's done in the temples, or the monks do it, which they do, of course. But meditation is something that everybody should learn. My sister, who built an enormous empire in health and wellness with spas in New York and in Vail, Colorado, well, I'm going to say she's passed on now, so I'm going to speak for her. But she learned transcendental meditation, TM, and she also learned. I'm trying to think of what the other methodology that she did, but she used these methods that I'm talking about. And so when it comes to designing a program, launching a program, the second thing is to design the program. And what I say is to make it simple. Don't make a really complex program that has a million different things to it. Choose 3 different specific areas to design your program around, 3 specific problems. And again, those problems are in relationship to who you're working with. So if you're working with a sales team, well, maybe one of the three things is how to relax yourself and to get in the flow before you get onto a sales call, before you do your sales activities. How can you do that? So choose three specific areas that your ideal client would most value, and they're going to value it the most because that's what they have problems with, and design your program around those three specific things. The third thing is so once you have your niche, and then you have your program with some focus to it, then become well known in that space, right? Don't be publishing social media content all over the place. Focus in on engaging in online groups that exist. Create your own group so you can invite people on, like it's like your living room on social media, and make it focused on serving the clients that you want to attract. Really avoid the knee-jerk reaction. There's a lot of different people that you can serve and help, and if you're anything like me, right, you like to help people, and that's wonderful, except for this, which is we have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of psychic energy, and that energy can easily get dispersed on a million different things. We all have this challenge now because of the internet. So create a community for your particular kind of people, and publish content, live streams, video content, blog articles that will speak to the three problem areas of your stress reduction program, if that's what you're choosing to focus on. Or maybe a stress reduction program is one of the three pieces of a larger program that you're doing. Maybe stress reduction is one of those three things. But I'll tell you, a stress reduction program unto itself is enough. But it could be, like I said, one of the three things. It could be the door opener, the small step that a person takes to start to work with you. And then, like I said, become well known in that space, so that when people speak your name, they're like, Kathy is the person to speak to about stress reduction, because she knows everything about it. Or she's the person to talk to if you want to create a top workplace environment and become the company that everybody wants to work with. So become well known in the problem that you solve and what it's called. Build your community around it. Create blog articles, live streams, video content. You don't have to create a ton of it. I say about one piece a week, one piece of pillar content that's really focused in on it. The fourth thing, and this is kind of in order of things, really, but the fourth thing, which is a little counterintuitive, you might think this is the first thing, which is to create an irresistible offer. And this is, imagine you're knocking on somebody's door who doesn't know you, or maybe they know you a little bit, they've heard about you because of your reputation on social media. What's the first thing that you're going to give to them? And that offer could be a free line offer, right? It could be like, oh, I noticed that you commented on my thing. Well, I've got a blog article that I wrote about this thing. That is an offer. That's a free line offer. But then when it comes to actually enrolling people into your program, then your ability to make that offer so irresistible that they look at it and they go, man, this offer is worth way more than what they're charging for it. And this could be even a high ticket program. Like I helped one of my clients create a high ticket program that was $5,000 for neuropathy patients. And in fact, I was just with somebody over the weekend, and I noticed that they had neuropathy. It's very painful. You can't walk very well with it. You can't walk out in nature very well if you have neuropathy. It's painful and it limits your mobility. And the later stages of it, people end up oftentimes having amputations. So the problem that it solves is worth a lot more than the $5,000 that she was charging for it. And she put all the things into a ongoing program that allowed people to overcome that challenge. And so 5,000 may sound like a lot of money, but for somebody who has been dealing with an issue like neuropathy, it's a very small amount of money, and it's a very small price to pay to overcome and to avoid the challenges of having that type of problem. Well, again, stress reduction is just like this. Like if you're working with a sales team and you can help that sales team to be in flow, and they make, like Mark did, tens of $1 million type of sales and relationship building things that come out of being in flow. Well, your program is worth 5,000 is a very small amount of money. And that's what I encourage is high ticket programs, creating a irresistible offer for it, and then learning consultative sales so that you can do exactly what Mark was describing. This is how he had such success in his sales process, is by asking questions. That's the consultative sales process. So remember, stress reduction is the master key. It is like the master key that opens all the rooms in an entire complex, right? Because stress is the thing that will cause people to not be able to perform, to lose their health, to lose sleep, to be brain foggy, all these different things. Stress is the master key. So it is more than just a neat tip or trick. I really encourage you to avoid doing live streams about neat tips and tricks about it. Talk about the problem and how painful the problem is, because again, when somebody has a lot on the line and stress is the key that needs to be unlocked so that they can make the sale or lead the team or whatever it might be that a person wants to achieve. Well, the problem, focusing in on the problem and why it's happening, is the thing to create your content around, because that will cause people to go, yeah, that is going on with me right now, and I am interested to hear more. So, so to wrap it up and a quick recap to it, and if you have any questions, drop them on into the chat window, and let me know. If you have any questions about what you're doing, the program that you're creating, feel free to drop them on in. I just got a few more minutes before I'm going to wrap things up here. So if you do have any questions about, how do I reach these people? Where are these people? How can I find them? One of my clients, I basically helped this entire process, and she was able to get her first $4,200 full pay client within 30 days. And it is all a matter of following this recipe that I've laid out. You're not going to necessarily be able to support yourself with small, low ticket one-on-one engagements, but they can be the door opener if you have a full program designed to then offer to the people once they try out your initial small step offer. But don't stay stuck in these little small one-on-one type. There's nothing wrong with this. I go to meditation classes myself, or sound bath classes, and they may be $20, $30, $45. I went to a breathwork class recently that I had about 15 people in it. It was about $45. So it was about $500 or so that the person made for an hour and a half of what I would call a stress reduction, experience. But it'd be much more valuable to have then a follow-up offer, next, 6 months of breath breathwork programs, or breathwork plus meditation plus movement, everything together that can fully solve the problem. So the 4 or 5 things that I talked about: choose the niche, who that person is, what they call themselves, what they call their problem. Second thing is design a program so that it solves the problem and it's very efficient, doesn't have a bunch of extra stuff and things in it. Third thing, become well known in that specific niche. And then the fourth thing is to become skilled at designing an offer that when people look at it, they go, man, I want that, and I want more of what you have to offer. And then learn how to ask the right questions that lead into those sales conversations. So that's what I have for you today. If you'd like to get some help with this, I just popped up with an inner circle of coaching support for people that want to make their either their first or their next $3,000 to $5,000 sale. And like I said, with my client Jinju, she made that. It was a $4,200 full pay sale within 30 days of working with me, and she's one of many clients that I've helped to do that. So I just recently opened up an inner circle of support, basically to give you support to overcome these 4 things: getting your niche dialed in, designing your program, or getting feedback on your program to make sure that it actually has what the people want in there, how to produce the right kind of social media content so you become well known, and then how to create an irresistible offer. When you have those 4 things together, and you get some guidance with it, it becomes really easy to enroll a high ticket client. This doesn't have to be a difficult process, but it does need to have message clarity. It does need to have clarity for who you're speaking to, and of course clarity for the design of the program, so that it has what they want in it, what they call it, what they want help with, versus what you value. So that's what I got for you. Good having you on the line with us here today. And if you're listening to the recording of this, drop a comment down below. And if you want to get my help, just drop the comment inner circle, and I'll reach out to you and share the link to that offer. It's a very low monthly subscription to work with me. It gives you direct access to me and the 15 plus years of experience that I have in designing and launching online programs. All right, good seeing you, and we'll see you in the next live stream.